You may have seen it off the road, an old boat sitting in a yard.
KY3's Paula Morehouse has a local World War II veteran's story of survival.
Not far from the hustle of Golden Avenue,
in my grandparents' front yard,
rising above a green sea of bramble and brush and bushes,
there's a boat. Not a canoe or some little fishing boat. A boat. A big one.
Carmen Rosendahl spent childhood days climbing aboard the boat's steel frame and crawling into its cozy belly.
As a kid, it was something cool in the front yard, something to play on, and then as I got older and grew up, I realized that it was a symbol of hope. You know, it's what brought him home.
Him is Bob Rosendahl, Carmen's grandfather, who spent years as a prisoner of war during World War II. A survivor of the Bataan Death March.
My grandfather always said that the men who didn't have anything to hold on to, anything to dream of back home, those were the men who didn't make it.
For her grandfather, that dream was a boat, but not just any boat.
I built the whole damn thing.
A boat built with his own hands. Starting with blueprints, he labored from stern to bow for 11 years.
The steel on the wall there is 3/16 of an inch thick. You wouldn't be able to shoot through with a 22 caliber rifle.
He built it to endure.
What did your wife think about the boat?
She don't like it.
I suppose I didn't have as romantic attitude toward it as he did.
Romance in boat building seemed a bit whimsical in the juggling midst of raising 6 children. And back then, Betty didn't know the vessel's significance because
he didn't talk then a lot about his prison experiences.
War, after all, is
tough business.
Just hours after bombs dropped on Pearl Harbor, the Japanese pounded the Philippine Islands. Rosendahl, along with thousands of other Americans and Filipinos, fought back for several months. But lack of food and weapons didn't give them a fighting chance. As prisoners of war, they were marched some 60 miles.
If it fell out, they'd kill you right there on the sidewalk, you know. They probably killed 1,000 people.
The prison camp horrors were unimaginable, except for the souls who still bear the scars.
That was a terrible place.
Starved and beaten, the men toiled between bouts of illnesses. Rosendahl maintained equipment. Once, when he informed a Japanese soldier a truck was nearly out of fuel, his reward was swift.
And he turned around and hit me in the head with a hammer. I fell down and covered my head the best I could. He beat the hell out of me with that ball-peen hammer.
One of his other jobs was to undress the dead so the clothes could be washed and reissued.
Of course, when I became a prisoner of war, I was stripped of everything I owned.
Stripped of everything, including a set of blueprints he had carried from home. They were his first set of boat plans he picked up when he was just 14 and had a dream. Rosendahl's nightmare finally ended when a small group of Russians parachuted into his camp.
I'll never forget this. And then he says, "Gentlemen of the United States Army, you're free." I'll never forget that.
Freedom. After 3.5 years in captivity, Rosendahl would be going home. He would build that boat.
I made some mistakes, but I think it's watertight.
Watertight but landlocked. The boat has never touched a drop of the expansive blue ocean. It held a higher purpose, the promise of better days to come.
I never had the slightest doubt I wasn't going to make it home. If you started figuring you weren't going to make it, you didn't make it, that's all.
Then on April 9th, 1942...
Inspired by her grandfather's will to push on in spite of a misery no man should endure,
She's the bright eyes in my family.
Carmen wrote about him.
I know we don't all go through what he went through, not even close.
And as the world whirls by on Golden Avenue, her words echo softly into the air.
We would do all fight our own battles and suffer our own demons. We all need our symbol of hope. We all need a boat in the front yard.
Bob is 94, and as you can see and hear, just as sharp as ever. We have a link to Carmen's article on her grandfather online at ky3.com. Just look for Paula's story.